We're back with Tim Dick, founder and vice chairman of Hawaii Superferry. Tim, as we mentioned in the first segment, you're involved with so many businesses. You were born in England, and you travel a lot. So what brought you to Hawaii?
Wow. And now former fiance brought me to Hawaii. I had been trying to take a 2-year sabbatical, and I was not successful in doing that. I made it about a year and a half and came here. And I was looking around for something to do, and I was really struck by, how scarce transportation was. Just the airlines, if you're a person, and the airline, air freight, and the barge. And this is really striking to me, having grown up in an island nation that's surrounded by ferries and so on and so forth. And I started looking into history, and I sort of grew up on the water. I'm sort of a maritime historian and a sailor and so forth. So, scratch my head. What's up with that? How did we get here? I mean, people didn't always fly. They must have been moving on the water. So started looking at the marketing. Basically, it turned into a feasibility study, and the numbers kept looking. Market's huge. Moving people and goods on the water is fundamentally lower cost than flying because it uses a lot less energy, and the assets are cheaper, and so on and so forth. So the math can work, and by September, it sort of had become effectively the next company. And then September 11th happened, and all the newspapers were crying out for, we need water transportation, we need a ferry service. And Governor Caetano at the time and leading legislators like Joe Suki were really, an outpouring of, is there anybody credible who can come and help us think this through? And so I began to meet with some of the folks in the ledge, and that led up to meetings with the Department of Transportation and the governor. And by November, I was on planes doing worldwide benchmarking trips, visiting the CEOs of large long-haul ferry companies around the world, looking for models and looking for, information about that.
So for you, you cannot seem to stop doing entrepreneurial things.
No, it's a little frightening. It's a ridiculous habit, and I would strongly urge all the listeners to, to temper your enthusiasm here, because it can be like a runaway train, or like a whole bunch of runaway trains, or runaway ferries, I guess, in this case.
Do you think that every time you're done with one, you think you're going to stop, but then you don't?
No, it's never occurred to me, because there's so many ideas that are going on. For example, one thing that I'm working on right now is enterprise data center level energy efficiency. Data centers, all the computers that are in there, they're all running flat out 24/7, and they size the Google complex is sized to meet the absolute peak demand. But it's like having a warehouse full of Ferraris and having them all at full throttle 24/7. Well, that's pretty crazy. I mean, how much energy is that worth? Is that wasting? And if you look at, data centers today consume $6 billion a year of electric power. Well, shoot, what if we could chop that by a quarter or a third? People would be willing to pay for that, and boy, that would sure be a good thing for, so there's, they're more like ideas, ideas that get grounded in economics. And this obviously has a huge social benefit, because we look at all the power that we can save, right? So, you just keep thinking, and people say, oh, gee, that's an interesting thing, and you put 1 and 2 together, and, pretty soon it's an idea. And most of the ideas I sort of pass off, or I'll wind up, funding and, seed ventures and so forth. But, you keep thinking. Endless curiosity, I guess. Curiosity killed the cat.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.